We got out there early, cool again. There's supposed to be 20-mile-an-hour winds. There's not a breath of wind here today. Deer were real active almost instantaneously.
Right after daylight, we're sitting there looking at a bunch of bucks, and they're running. There's a lot of young bucks running a lot of does. And at that point, I looked up and I seen this deer materialize out of the brush. He just walked out. Immediately, he looked at those other bucks and he took off running after them. I mean, he was chasing every single buck that was out there that could be chased off around those does. That's him right there. Man, he did not like that deer at all. I've never seen one big one out of the herd like that. You know, kill him like that. I mean, that was, go ahead and play a gun. Just play a gun. So nothing's different when he comes back out of it. He comes back out. At that point, I knew that it was going to be tough because the deer wasn't going to stay still. And we actually had to end up putting the gun out the window a couple of times because he kept running from one side to the other, and then he'd disappear for 3 or 4 minutes, and then all of a sudden he'd show back up. And eventually, when he did show back up, he showed up on the opposite direction of what we were kind of set up on, and he actually started working a scrape. He gives me a broadside shot and stops, I'm taking it.
At that point, I'm really focusing on that vital area. Where am I going to place the shot? I wasn't looking at his antlers or anything, which I think is a good thing because I would have been shaky.
He made a scrape, came back in, he left and then came back in and actually started making another scrape, and that's when we was able to get a shot. Oh, he's going in the brush. Get away from that doe. You got him right there, Kevin. Shoot him. I can't. Shoot him. Okay. Oh, he jumped straight up. Yeah, I know. Why are you shaking so much? Because that's a big deer.
Gene looked at me and goes, I don't think you know how big that deer is. And I said, I think you're right. It's probably a good thing. And when we got out there, it was just, I still was excited to have a deer on the ground and have all that away, but getting up to that deer and seeing how big he was, it just made it that much better.
This was probably one of my most enjoyable hunts. Just the fact that we did put so much time and effort to harvest this deer. You know, there again, it ended up being a four-day hunt that I never expected. And I mean, just everything we did, from the rattling to sitting in the blinds and everything else, and all the different deer that we seen, to me, it was my most enjoyable hunt.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, we waited till this deer's probably 6 years old.
Yeah, you can tell he's an older
deer. You can see he's
deer.
got the Roman nose.
Yep.
He's not a very big-bodied deer, but he's done his thing for us.
Yeah, he's had his chance to spread
He's
these
done his
genetics.
thing. He's done
Oh,
breeding for us, but you know, he's a typical frame deer. And congratulations on a great buck.
Beautiful deer. Like I said, we put a lot of work into this deer, but you know, moments like these, it's worth every minute. This has just been unbelievable.
Well, that was another successful entry in the Yamaha Whitetail Diaries. For more on this show or to watch a full episode of the show, visit whitetaildiaries.com.